Sure. Okay, welcome everybody to our playtest, the mini adventure called The Hunt, part of the Maximum Apocalypse RPG campaign called The Family. So I'm joined with my players who are part of the campaign and partly trying out the game. So I've got some people who've fresh to it. We're going to see how they do in this game adventure. And because it's a playtest, there might be questions. It's totally fine. Feel free to ask any questions you want along the way. Why don't we go ahead and start and have everyone introduce themselves. We'll start with Amanda. Why don't you start off and introduce whatever gamer tag handle you want to be called by and who your character is.
Thank you, Scott. My name is Amanda, as you said. At DM Deistress is where I can be found at Twitter, and I'm playing Erin Hayes. She is a thief, hunter, scavenger. Ooh. And I guess if I'm going to do a shameless plug, I will plug Tales of Swordfall, which can be found on Anchor, the podcast. Pretty awesome if you like D&D.
Very nice. Okay. Over here to my left.
Okay, I'm Dana. The character I'll be playing for hopefully all of the campaign is also a thief, hunter, scavenger. And her name is Mickey Osbright. And I don't have anything to plug, so that's it.
Cool. Then it's going to go down below me.
Yep. I'm Nathan, also known as Sergeant 86 Delta. Nothing to plug at the moment. I'm playing Arden Green Parks, known as Parks, and he's a mechanic priest. He's a mechanic. Yeah, and we'll probably be seeing more of this guy through your campaign. So
cool, very cool. And then finally, what I see right there at the bottom corner.
All right, so my name is Richard. I'm mostly here as a total noob to this game, but love RPGs. I'm going to be playing a character called Gron, who is a Ronin character, and we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to playing with you guys.
Very cool. All right. Well, welcome everybody, and I'm Scott, the creator of Maximum Apocalypse, the RPG, based on the board game of the same name by Mike Nade and Rock Manor Games. We're currently in development here. We have a license agreement, and when this game is done, it will begin the process of appearing on the shelves for people to buy and play. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so today's adventure is called The Hunt. It stars you five people. Four people? How many got? Four people, sorry. There's 5 on my screen. I wasn't realizing I'm on it. You 4 people and a couple of NPCs. There are 3 NPCs, one of which is a character named Jake, who is relatively famous in this campaign world that is that this takes place in. And then he has 2 young teenagers with him that he's teaching how to hunt. Now, the idea of the hunt, before you agreed to come on it, is that he is just going out to hunt. He's teaching these kids how to, make tents and camp and things like that. But he does also need some, experienced hunters to help him, just in case they have to chase a deer out into the woods or set up traps or whatever, so that he's not the only experienced hunter with the group. So that's why you guys are there. Now, you may not be super experienced with survival skills, but you do have some skills, and you're far more advanced than the teenagers he's got to keep an eye on. So, there's also the side of, like, if you have a big stick and you're willing to smack things with it to keep them at bay, then you're welcome to come along. So that was the whole premise behind the adventure or this hunt. And for whatever reason, you guys have agreed. Does that sound reasonable?
I'm good.
Cool. All right. Just want to make sure that people didn't feel like their character would not have gone on this hunt. Okay.
So,
yes.
My character would be curious, what are we hunting?
Food.
Anything and everything is food.
Yeah, at this point, it's not really like a particular season, like a deer season or a rabbit season, or duck season. It's simply a matter of they need food, and so since the family needs food, people have to go out and find it. So that's what you're doing. The plan is to go out about 2 days, walk from the home, the name of the compound where the family lives, and then look and see what you find. And after a couple of days, if you don't find anything, then you'll just come back empty-handed. But if you find some stuff out there, whether it's deer or squirrels or rabbits or fish, you're going to bring it back to the family.
Cool.
So pretty much anything moving out there that we can hit with our sword.
Yeah, anything that's not a zombie or a mutant, right? You don't want to
or a robot. Yeah, robots.
I mean, you can't eat a robot, so I don't think that's the plan.
Hey, iron. You need iron.
Nobody is a cannibal here, right? Just making sure.
That you know of. No.
I know I'm a new character, but I've heard stories.
Okay.
That's
All right. So you guys have been traveling on this walk away from the home for about a day when the sun starts to go down and you enter a clearing. Jake looks around. He thinks it makes a good place to stop for the night, but there's a chill in the air and it's sort of an ominous color on the horizon, something that suggests a possible oncoming storm, but nothing clearly defined as a possible danger in the next couple of days. Jake recommends that you set up camp. How do you guys feel?
It's pretty open instead of clearing.
It's a clearing, yeah. But the trees around the clearing are relatively thick. Like nothing would necessarily just appear out of nowhere. You would hear it or it would have to move around the trees.
Jake, who's your brothers over there? Are your brothers, or did you already say they were brother, sister, or friends? You
No,
said
they're just two teenagers. They're both boys.
Who are those teenagers over there, Jake?
Oh, these are some of the young ones. You know, the younglings have to learn things. If they don't learn, they won't survive. So I've brought them with us into the woods.
Well, my grandpappy used to always take us out to the woods on camping trips, and we also often used to make these things called the codifiers. Have you ever heard of one of them?
I have not heard of this codifier. Why don't you explain it to myself and the younglings?
So what you do is you make this hole in the ground, and you make another hole on the side, and you just kind of do things. Here, let me show you. And I go ahead and show them what a decodifier is. And the whole thing is so that predators and other things that might get to you won't see the fire.
That's a pretty impressive idea. Your grandpappy must have been a fairly smart man.
He was a very smart man. It's a pity what happened to him, though.
Well, I think that's a story that you might share with us on the campfire tonight. We'll have to stay. Some of us are going to have to stay up and watch to make sure that none of those predators you mentioned come into camp. So I would like to hear the story about your grandpappy and the story of how he passed.
Sure. Jake, what kind of predators have you seen out here?
What kind of predators haven't we seen out here? I think we've all seen some predator of some kind, but for me, in this area, I've seen a lot of the wolves and the coyotes, a lot of the really angry, scrappy dogs that came from the towns. Just those kinds of things here, fortunately.
Wolves and coyotes are easy to keep out, don't you think?
They
I
are.
mean, yeah.
It's those other predators, the ones that creep up at night or suck you into the sky. Those are the ones you have to worry about.
I agree. So what kind of precautions have you taken in the past to make sure none of that's going to happen tonight? We got to teach these young ones some things, correct?
I think if we go ahead and camouflage our camp to look like the trees, maybe use some leaves and set up a canopy, we might be all right. We're only going to stay until the sun comes up again, and then we'll move on.
So we're traveling in the daytime. Okay, that's a good idea. You're so smart, Jake.
Thank you.
So Gron kind of takes his machete and hacks it into a nearby tree and says, predators should be scared of us. He starts going to collect some campfire wood around nearby. I'm assuming we're just like in a foresty area?
Yeah, it's a foresty area, and you're currently the camp area that he's suggesting is in a clearing. You have enough trees around it to sort of make like lean-tos and stuff. But he did bring tents. He brought a tent, and some of you might have tents in your inventory. But he's assuming there's enough sort of camping gear for everyone to stay. But in order to set up camp, he does recommend a couple of things. He needs somebody to go look for kindling, and then also perhaps make some safety precautions around the perimeter. He needs somebody to like make a fire and start boiling some wood, or boiling some water. I mean, if you can boil wood, then you're doing great. And then he's got some traps that he'd like to set. So if anyone wants to help him with that, he's got a few.
Well, I think I'm gonna help you with that fire, so we should probably get some wood. One of you guys would like to accompany me, seeing how it is kind of scary out here being all by yourself, all by your lonesome.
I do recommend that everyone stays in a buddy system. Everyone find a friend and stay with them.
So Gron just kind of grunts and goes and stands by Amanda.
It's Aaron.
Aaron. My bad.
What was your character's name? Gron? I'm sorry.
Gron. Yeah.
Okay.
So Gron and Aaron are going into the woods.
All right.
Okay. What do other people want to do?
I'll help with the traps.
Okay.
That'll work.
All right. So Jake reaches into his sack that he's got, and you hear the clinking and rustling of metal. He pulls out a couple of traps, and you notice that some of them are in bad disrepair. Something that he didn't notice before. Some of them are great. Some of them look like they were freshly made, but the others look like they've been used and they're falling apart.
Parks looks over at Jake. How many times have I told you to bring those by the shop?
Well, sometimes, I get caught up in things, living out in the tents with the tents. We have our own political business we got going on.
Right.
Do you want to fix them? Do you want to work on them right now? See if you can make them work better?
Oh, yeah. That's not a problem. Should be all right.
Okay.
Well, let me take the ones that actually look like they'll help, and I'll start setting this up.
All right.
All right, why don't you take one of the younglings with you? And he points at one of them. Timmy, why don't you go with her?
All right, Timmy, let's go.
Okay, so you and Timmy
We're
are gonna
off.
go off and do your thing. Just 'cause you guys are split up, I'll kind of do a thing. Who wants to? Let's see. Who should I start with first? Why don't we do the kindling people first because they wandered off first, and then we'll come back. We'll do the repairing, and then we'll go to setting up the traps. All right, kindling people. You begin walking around and looking for sticks. It's not hard to find them. They're all over the place, so you just have to look around. As you're looking around, though, why don't one of you or both of you go ahead and you're going to roll perception. And in this case, because I realize I've never explained that to you guys before, what you're going to roll is 2 d10s, it's a d100 roll, so you're going to roll a d10s and then a d1s, essentially. And you're going to try to get below the skill stat number that you have for the skill on your character sheet for perception. If you don't have a number, that means you don't have proficiency in the skill. That's why it's not written on your character sheet. Which means you're essentially going to roll what the base stat is. So in this case, for perception, it's instinct. But you're going to roll it at disadvantage. And in that case, you're going to roll a third die for the 10s, and you're going to pick whichever of the higher numbers comes out in your roll. So you're going to be either one or the other, essentially.
Okay, I rolled a 48.
Okay. And what is your stat threshold number for perception?
Perception, 45. So
Okay.
is there, in this game, was there a pool to make numbers like there is in other games?
No, there's not a way to shrink it like in Call of Cthulhu where you use your luck to sort of push it down.
Okay.
That doesn't exist in this game. But there is you do have this luck use per day thing. It's probably, in this case, it's probably not something you'd want to do, but in other cases you might. The luck use per day is a stat that's based on your luck, and that's the number, or luck per game, sorry, not per day, per game. You're allowed to re-roll failures, which is what you just have. You have a failure here. You can re-roll them that number of times
Okay.
in the game session. So
Wait, sorry, you can reroll them how many number of times based on what?
So you have a luck stat, right, in your base stats, and then you basically divide that by 10, and that's the number of times you can, in one game session, re-roll any failures.
Gotcha.
So let me I don't have the character sheets in front of me. That's a bad idea. What am I doing?
Yeah. So like, I missed mine by 3.
Right.
so
So it's
so
just,
but
it's a failure. That's fine. Like, it's a perception roll. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. Maybe you're gonna die. Let me pull up. I'm just gonna check Gron real fast. Your character sheet to give you a number based on, so we can see what you're looking at, and so you can understand what it is.
Oh yeah. So I had 30 perception, and I rolled a 91. So
So you
Gron
failed.
just
Failed. Yeah.
stands there, barely. He's wearing like a helmet on his face, and just seems to be staring blankly.
And so in your case, you have 4 luck uses per game, because you have 30 in your luck, but then you have +1 for your mutation lucky stars, right?
Oh,
So you
okay.
have four per day, or 4 per game.
I'm not going to use it on this.
No, that's fine. Okay, so you guys are you find the sticks. You're just gathering them up. You bring them back. You maybe make a couple of trips, but you don't really notice anything out in the woods. Do you also want to build some sort of basic barriers, or is that? I mean, it doesn't have to. You don't have to make any rules. You just.
we can do barriers. I wasn't sure if that was going to be with traps or.
Well, you might be able to use the traps for that too. If you want to do that, then that's a good suggestion. You're gonna, when you come back to camp a couple of times, this guy down here is gonna be working on them. So you could offer to use those traps when he's done with them as sort of a defensive barrier. Because
I'm gonna see
the traps off.
I'm gonna go around and see if there's any dead trees that I can kind of push up near the fire.
Okay.
At the very least for seating.
Why not? Yeah, you can totally wander off and go find a tree. There's a bunch of fallen trees. It's a forest, so you find one relatively close. You want to try to use your strength to roll it toward the fire? You're muted, Richard.
So I rolled a 91 with an 80 strength.
Right. Man,
I'm having bad luck on these first rolls. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, you want to roll low, right? So it's kind of a different game for people.
Well, let me see if I can help you.
Yeah, you guys can team up and do it. And the teamwork roll, you could either do a teamwork roll or you could just try to push it yourself. How do you want to
Okay.
Yeah, how does teamwork roll work out of just curiosity?
Okay, so in a teamwork roll, a person would roll, like, there's a primary actor going to decide, like, okay, Richard, your Gron is going to be the one who actually moves the tree, right? The other person, as a teamwork person, they're going to make their roll, and if they get a success, they give you +5 to your stat, right? And this game has degrees of success, so each degree of success adds a +5. So let's say they get 3 degrees of success, they're going to give you 15 to your stat. So then your threshold increases, so you have a higher chance of succeeding in your roll.
Okay. So I rolled a 38, which is good because it's in great. No, wait, it's still a success. That's what it is on mine.
So it's not quite half, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. It's a little above half.
Okay. And so then that gives you that's +5 to yours. So because
that's 85.
Yep.
Oh, and I rolled an 83, so
boom,
that 85 actually helped out.
Yeah, there it is. So she's helping you lift and carry it, and you grab a hold of the leverage she gives you, and you can just grab it and drag it toward the fire.
Let's just move this over a little bit at first and see what's underneath it or in the log.
Okay, yeah. So you're just gonna kind of explore the log a little bit while you're pushing it. All right. There's nothing there. Just some dead wood.
Cool. Just out of curiosity, is the woodland wet or is it just like dry or?
The current season that you're in is it's sort of in between. It's like all in between spring and summer, so it's a little damp, but it's not damp enough to be like a wet log. So it's dry enough, but the area is generally dry. However, there's probably going to be some morning dew wetness, because it's that time of year.
And being a hunter and scavenger, I would also want to make sure that I was looking for any tracks that were on the ground or anything that doesn't look like it was made by us.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the tracking skill, to look for tracks and things on the ground. You have that one, yes, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, so everyone has access, just to be clear, everyone has access to all the skills, right? So you can make it anyway. You just have to roll a disadvantage if you don't have a proficiency in it. So you can make any rolls you want. Okay, so you want to look around. Go ahead and roll that for me and tell me what you see.
I don't see shit.
Yeah. I mean, you see footprints and things from you guys, from your milling around and dragging of logs. And that's what you see. And you might see the occasional random like bird print, but not enough to like make a clear trail of where the walkie duck birds went or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do see some stuff, but not enough to like nothing stands out.
Well, come on, Goron. Let's get this logger moving. It's not gonna move itself.
Okay.
Right.
So you guys get that log back to the where the camp is, and then you find this guy and Jake. I'm suddenly forgetting Parks and Jake hanging out in the center of camp. Parks seems to be working on something. He's got something. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you brought your tools with you. Why don't you describe to me how you're working on the traps?
Yeah. Well, that's Parks. He generally has a bag of tools and a tool belt. He ain't exactly like the quietest person around, but off to one side you'd see his big two-handed wrench that he normally is using on the machines back at the compound. Makes a pretty good beat stick, So he's over there with his tools and repair kit and got things laid out, and he's plinking away and ratcheting, and every once in a while digs into a bag he's got beside him, is like shuffling around for parts and repiecing things together.
All right, so you've got your tools, which gave you a +5.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all your bag of gears and widgets, and I make the reference to Ultra Modern 5 just so that somebody at home can be like, "Whoa, that's what that is." So go ahead and make your mechanics roll, because that's what these are. These are mechanical devices, right?
Right.
Yep.
So let's see. A 15 will put me at 3 degrees of success.
3 degrees of success. Okay, so let's see. So that's pretty good. So you're gonna want to roll then. In that case, 3. I'm sorry. Hold on. This is I guess this is a rest period. We'll say. Did you were you using the repair kit as well?
Yeah, I had the repair kit as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So
just
I have a tool belt, tools, and a repair kit. So
got it. Okay, so you're gonna roll what? 3d4. Yeah, 3d4 plus 3.
Yeah. No.
Wait.
Grab the dice set that didn't have all of my d4s in it.
3d4. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Stop. It's 64.
Okay, 64. Yeah. That one's different.
Yeah, because I said it was a rest. So the rest plus the kit makes it bumps it up to 2d4 per degree of success.
All right. So 3d6 plus 4.
No, it's 6d4 plus 3.
Oh, 64. All right. Definitely gonna need all those out. Okay. Let's see.
You need all your d4s. All of them.
5, 8, 12, 15, 17 plus the whatever. Yeah,
okay.
I forgot what the plus was. I should have written it down.
3, so it's 20. You have 20. Okay. Essentially, you have 20 points to use at repairing these traps.
Okay.
A trap is only about 5 points, so you could essentially fix 4 traps in the process.
Okay.
That seem reasonable?
Yep, sounds good.
Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to drop 10 component pieces to make those repairs.
Right. Well planned ahead. He's gonna...
So erase them from your inventory as they no longer exist because they've been applied to the traps.
Applied to traps.
However, you now have 4 more working traps.
Okay, so yeah, it's as Aaron and Gron show back up, he set them on kind of like a makeshift log table.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're right there. I assume that's what you're here for. Yeah,
and that was because it was one attempt that you did all that in. That was basically just like the same the hour-ish amount of time that everyone's like going out and doing the other things is basically what it took you. So about this time is when they would come back.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. We'll jump over to setting the traps, and then you will come back probably about the same time that these guys are with him and the new traps. All right. So you and Timmy are wandering around in the woods looking for places to set the traps. I assume that you want to set them in places where you'd maximize the catching of possible small game, or are you setting them up for humans?
How many traps do I have? How many were good?
So there were, well, if he had 4, then there were 6 good traps.
Okay. I'll do like half for kind of game and half just in case someone pops up.
So half as defensive and half as useful for catching things. Okay. So you're gonna look for good places, and you find some along the way. Go ahead and use your survival skill, which I hope you have, to set the traps. You don't. All right. Well.
So that's disadvantage.
Then you have disadvantage, and you're rolling instinct. So hopefully you have that at a relatively okay number.
I do. Yes.
Good.
No, 97.
All right. So the first one you place one in this place, and Timmy kind of looks at it and goes, I don't know if that's a great place, but okay.
See, you pointed out my mistake. Good job.
He's gonna go ahead and try his own hand at trying to maybe move it a little bit without setting it off. We'll see. It's a
learning experience.
We'll see how he does. He's got a 40. So hey, he did it. He did fine. Even with disadvantage, he got a 36.
Give him a pat on the top of the head.
So he slides it over and puts it kind of in a different place. And when you look at it, you think, hey, that's actually kind of a better place. All right, nicely done, Timmy. You gave him a pat on the head. He kind of feels cool. He also, he's a teenager, so you're a female, and therefore, obviously, it's awesome. Maybe not. Maybe he's not that kind of teenager. All right, why don't you go ahead and roll 2 more times for the other 2 traps that you were going to set for game.
No. And if it's exactly at the number, that's
a success, yeah.
1 success.
Cool. All right, so your second one you place again in a place. Okay. And then the other one you find like this nice sweet spot that's kind of in a nook of a tree root between 2 roots. You're like, I think things probably will run right into this without even seeing it. So this is probably a good place to catch a rabbit or a squirrel or something. Maybe even something as big as a deer. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But it definitely feels relatively good. And so yeah, and while you're doing that, you discover some edible berries right about in that spot. So you got about 1 food's worth of edible berries that you find. How do you explain to Timmy how to tell that they're edible berries?
Of course I do.
Cool. So Timmy will get to gain some knowledge, insight towards survival things.
While I'm doing that, are the trees around here like tall? They're
thin trees. They're not like wide. They're not like thick around trees. They're thinner, sort of aspen trees or something.
Can I climb up one to try to get like a view of everything around us, just to make sure that we're
I'll let you do it if you want to make a climb roll.
What is climb? Athletics?
It's athletics, yeah. So you're gonna roll an athletics roll. Sort of everything that involves like a physical moving through terrain is going to be an athletics roll.
Ooh, that is a great success.
Okay. Yeah, so the tree doesn't even bow when you climb it. You get handholds. You have no problem. You get to the top and you look around. It's just a lot of trees. You don't really see anything that stands out. There's no like monoliths or like ancient structures or, crazy alien things or robot villages. You just see the trees. There's some clearings. You see like off in the distance, a decent ways away, probably something that you could reach at the end of the next day. There's a river that flows off that way. And you never knew there was a river there, but you also aren't the one who generally goes out hunting in these woods.
Okay,
yeah.
I will climb on down.
Okay.
Can I jump the last 10 feet?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and do that? That's fine with me. You can try to do a tumble if you want to.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to, it's up to you, man.
No,
You don't
I
have
just
to
thought it was
tumble.
just kind of, and from a height that I wouldn't have to make a roll. I'd like.
Okay,
to
well that's
from.
fine. You could just as a flourish drop down the last couple bit and just be like, you survived the seismic cataclysm. Is that correct? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, this sort of jumping off of things is sort of a common deal with you. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And then you set up the other ones, generally around in places you think would be access points for the group. You're a thief, so you have some insight into what would be a path of attack for somebody who's going to try to nab something and escape. So you put some things out and what you think would be the path you would take if you were going to try to ambush the group. And then you come back in time to see these guys dragging a log up to the fire, and this the older man with the traps going like, here you go. The whole time that he was fixing those traps, Jake was explaining to the other boy, whose name is apparently Joe, how to put the traps together. So he's explaining trap making and trap setting, but mostly the building part because they can see it in action. So he's like, so you see how we put the screw in there, and then he held it down with that pin, and that's what's happening. So that's what you guys walk up on. And now everyone's together again.
So
I found some berries. Kind of put them wherever we're keeping.
Oh, those look good, girl. You did an awesome job finding berries. Where'd you find those?
There's a couple big trees. They were a little nested in there.
Wow, that's excellent. Good eyes.
Thank you.
We found this big log. Come on, Gron, let's put this over here. Is this a good spot?
Looks comfy to me.
As comfy as you're gonna get on a log, I suppose.
Take what you could get.
Was
So
it?
Gron,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Gron would look over at Mickey and say, like, why did you climb the tree?
Oh, I wanted to make sure we weren't surrounded by anything we didn't want to be surrounded by. Kind of wanted just to see for myself. Man, we look good. So good job, Jake.
She does a good job looking out for us.
Yeah, see, kids. So as you might well understand, it's always good to get a good sense of your surroundings. So I've been in these woods before, so I'm aware of what's generally around here, and I didn't think about climbing up a tree. So I'm not the ultimate authority on survival. So just watch these guys. They are definitely going to be able to help teach you. I won't be around forever. Some of them might be.
I hope not.
Is that called foreshadowing? Da-dun.
we're in trouble. Oh yes, we are in trouble.
Ominous portents. Okay, whoops. I clicked the wrong thing. I'm clicking away from stuff. No, come back. Where'd you guys go? There we go.
Minimize.
We're in the woods.
No, I accidentally tried to share something it looked like. All right. Okay, so you guys do a pretty decent job of setting up the basic stuff, like you get your fire and things together. Now you guys can set up tents. Does anyone have a tent in their inventory? Or a sleeping bag?
Yes.
Who has a sleeping bag in their inventory?
I was just going to drive my SUV out, but no, we skipped that.
I can't do it. Jake would immediately have stopped you because then you would have just scared away all of the game.
I have a sleeping bag as well.
Okay. Anyone have a tent?
A tent, yes.
But Jake had a tent.
Jake has a tent, yes. Jake has a tent, and apparently...
Would that mean that Timmy and Joe came out with one as well?
Yeah, so Timmy and Joe had a tent. They had a little pup tent for the two of them. And then Jake had a tent, which he assumed he was going to share with at least one other person. Because that's what he assumed. And he was hoping someone else would bring a tent. It looks like they did. So the pup tent could fit 2 people, meaning that 2 of you get a place to sleep inside of a tent on top of the person who brought the tent. So, 3 of you. One of you is going to have to sleep outside.
I will sleep outside. I don't want to sleep in a tent.
Perfect.
That's her
No, yeah.
her MO anyway.
You can opt to sleep outside. I have no problem with that.
Dun, dun, dun,
Okay.
dun,
So if you're sleeping outside, everyone else is sleeping in a tent, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys take some time to set up the tents, and then you got your fire going. You boil some water. Jake found some bird eggs in a nearby tree because he, decided to climb it, taking the example from somebody else. And he found some bird eggs. And he, you guys share a few stories about things that have happened to you in the past. You get a feeling, though he doesn't actually say it, but you get the feeling that Jake's experience has been with some of those creatures that are not of this earth, that came down to enslave humanity, as it were. But he doesn't actually expressly state that. He just talks about things like stuff drifting off in the night, or, waking up to all of his friends having been taken. Which could be a reference to the Rapture, but you're guessing based on the way he's talking, it's probably more like aliens. And then he expects you guys to share stories about yourselves, because it's sherry time. And the younglings got nothing. They're just younglings. They're like, I've lived with the family my whole life. They're both tent kids, and their parents clearly sent them off to go learn from Jake.
How old are they? How old do they look?
They're 13 and 14. They're not brothers, but they know each other really well, so they kind of act like it. But they're clearly not related. One has red hair and one has black hair. That kind of thing.
And the apocalypse has been going on for how many years?
It's 10 years now.
Okay.
It's been 10 years. So they were like 4 when it started. Ish, 3 and 4. So do you guys want to briefly share stories, and then we'll move on with the adventure? Anyone have a story they want to share? I'm expecting you two who have like a desire to play these characters in the campaign to be the ones that share stories.
We're Mickey and I are over a rock paper scissors. You gonna say anything? No, I'm not gonna say anything. You gonna say? No, I'm not gonna say anything.
I will.
We don't have nothing. Sorry.
I'll kind of look over at the 2 young boys and be like, I have a brother in the tents. He's a little older than you guys. You might have seen him. He was really young when the apocalypses started too. And, he learned a lot from traveling with me. So you learn from your elders what you're doing. And I think you guys are going to end up pretty good.
What happened to you? How did you get here?
Oh, that's a long story. I haven't been here very long, just almost 2 years. Before that, me and my brother came from. Scott, you said that like the Great Lakes became like a sea, right?
It became a sea, yeah, with a seismic cataclysm. Okay. It sort of cracked open and the ocean flooded in.
Would it have been possible to like get to where we are from somewhere on the other side of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It would have involved some long land travel and or sea travel, but yes.
Okay. We took the long way here from across the sea. It was, let me tell you, you don't want to be on a boat for that long with one other person who you're related to. So that's as much as I'll go into that.
Parks is a little quieter. He's like, it said we may reach the town I was originally from, but before the family compound became a family compound, it says I worked at the warehouse building tractors and farm equipment. So yeah, I was probably one of the first people that showed up after the elders and a few others that showed up. So.
And I traveled with some people that they were really good friends, and eventually we ran out of gas. But, these things happen. But the real exciting story is my grandpappy. You see, he was in charge of the 32nd Brigade unit, the one in Ohio. He was responsible for clearing out the town of the Zambos. That's right, the Zambos. And that was in the city of Seltzer Water. It's a little-known city. And he did some pretty heroic things, and he wasn't prepared for what happened. But I think we'll save that story for another night.
It is getting late. We're going to have to break into some watches. Not everyone gets to sleep the night through. It's going to be a couple of days, so what I think we should do is have somebody stay up for half the night and someone else wake up and take over the watch for the rest of the night. And then tomorrow we'll do the same thing. And then by the end, everyone will have done that. Everyone will do their fair share, keeping each other safe for the night. Does that seem reasonable to everyone? In standard family fashion, we'll call for a vote. Who thinks is a good idea? Do you guys have other ideas? I'm fine. We can do whatever.
No, that sounds fine to me. Did we set some wires up for what kind of traps did we already set?
I set a couple for food and in case anyone walks up or shambles up.
They're standard leg clamp traps. So they'll grab whatever it is and sort of pierce it with sharp edges.
Pointy teeth.
Mm-hmm. Not quite bear traps, but close.
Can we the stuff that we have on us? Do we have like eating utensils or anything that would make noise?
Yes and no. Like you have things I assume to eat with, but they don't have to make noise if you don't want them to, especially if you're being careful not to make noise, like scraping tin, plates and stuff. If you're trying not to, then the things don't have to make noise. But if you want them to make noise as much as you want, that's fine with me.
Well, I was thinking like a warning system above us, set with either wire or ropes on the trees. So if something did come from above, we would hear a rustling.
I have some rope.
Right. There you go. I actually realized that I forgot to mention that you guys probably ate something. Does anyone have food in their inventory?
Yes. Survival game without food. We're in trouble.
Well, we have those berries. I mean,
yeah. So there is the berries. That's
those
one
keep
unit
us
of
regular.
Food. Yeah, that's one unit of food.
Gron has an absurd amount of jerky.
He's constantly munching.
I have some mushrooms.
Okay, so you guys can put a kind of stew soup thing together with berry dessert for food, which is fine. You guys can all sort of share together and make like a food thing. Except maybe Gron, he may have to eat some of his own stuff. Gron, your character is quite big. Is that correct?
Gron's fine with jerky.
Now your size, Gron.
Your size. He's a big character.
He's definitely
large.
Muscly.
Large, yeah. So he's a large character. He's got to eat quite a bit of food. He's got to eat, I think, probably twice as much as everyone else, to like sort of make it through the day. So yeah, I guess he'll have to eat up his own jerky for a bit. But he can still share the meal unless you just give them some and you just eat your own jerky. You're just like, screw it, I'm gonna eat my own jerky. It's up to you.
No, he'll eat too.
So Jake produces a can of beans that he managed to salvage from the family compound before you guys left. So there is an empty can along with the food that you eat. So there is like something that you can have to make rattling noises if you want to. I'll allow it. And so in order to make this noise device, somebody's got to craft it. This is where the crafting skill comes in.
I will hand my rope to the one who fixed the trap.
Okay, so
anyone can craft it. Those with the crafting skill will be better at it than those without. But any of you guys can kind of try to make it. You just need a success on it to create this item with a crafting skill. Does that make sense?
Go crafting. Go crafting.
Okay. So who's going to do it?
Anyone else give it a shot?
You can also teamwork. Also a thing, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have crafting +5.
Oh, the +5 is your tools. You're looking at your tools. So the crafting skill will be a skill that you have on the skill side. It's under
I found it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't add a +5 or it would be a -5 to the 45 or no?
So
it would be 45 plus the 5.
So the +5 is the amount that you get to the crafting. I've already calculated it on the character sheet, so that 45 is you're going to be your instinct plus the +5, right? Correct?
My apologies.
Does that make sense? You following?
Okay, so the 45 is for the crafting, and the tools itself, you wouldn't add a 5 to your 45, surpassing it to 50, because that would give you a. Wait, that would. No, would that be
No,
good?
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. So I think you're confusing yourself. The tools add a +5, right? That's just what they do. They add a +5 to the skill that you're using, and so that stat, right? The instinct for your character is 40, correct?
The instinct.
Yeah,
Hold
instinct,
on.
your
Is that at the
base stat.
top?
Yeah, your base stat instinct.
I'm looking for it.
That's fine. Take your time. I'm not in a rush.
Where is that located on the sheet?
So on the top,
Oh,
the top
I see
left
it. I'm
side
sorry.
where the
40.
stats are.
Yeah, you're right. 40.
Yeah, so 40. So then that 45 is with that 40 plus the 5 from the tools.
Okay.
So the 45 is your number.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, cool. 16.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh, I full screened it. Okay, so 16. And that would be, I believe, 2 degrees of success, right? 45 is 45, 22, 11. Yeah, so
11.
it's between a great and amazing success, right? It's somewhere in between those two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's 2.
Did you-
That's 2, so that's 10. Plus 10 to the other guy's crafting if you're assisting him. And
Oh,
he's-
okay.
Yeah.
Plus 10 to mine.
Yeah, plus 10 to yours.
All right, plus 10 to mine. All right, so let's see. I'm at. Oh, and it's just a crafting. It's not a. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
a
just
mechanic
crafting.
check.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not
so 10.
Because you're making an item. You're making a special item
Right.
that isn't a
20.
mechanical device.
85. So 105. And I got a 19. So 105
Wow,
divided
that's
by
an amazing
2.
success.
Yeah. It's like-
Because divided by 3 is what, 26 or something.
Yeah,
so
20
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So yeah.
So-
So that's a great success. Good
Yep.
job, man.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for the assist.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. You only need a success to create it. We'll go ahead and say it's actually a superior quality because that's a thing that can happen with an amazing
Yeah,
success.
that's one of the things with the tool kits and stuff that you can get the improve the quality. So
Right.
so,
Right. So you've done that. You've improved it. It's a superior style trap. So basically, it's not only is it together, but it's together well enough that it probably is maybe slightly like you would think it would be oversensitive, but it isn't, right? Like it jingles at the slightest sort of thing, but
Right.
not like the wind blowing on it.
Our
so you're
camp
not
is like
gonna
a spider web now.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like picturing like an X of 2 chords with things that are knotted in between enough so like if something touched the net, it would clang the things together.
Right. And you helped him by helping like thread and knot those knots with your delicate hands, right? Or whatever you did. So you guys put this trap together that is to help alert everyone, especially in case whoever's on watch just drifts asleep or something.
Right, and then if whoever's on watch looks at the X, they could see if something fell on it or is moving it, or if
Right.
it's invisible and it knocked
Right.
it or whatever.
Right, and it's slightly shifting. They know that either something's tugging on the end or something's moving through it with the wind, you know. Yeah, cool. All right, so you guys set up your nice trap, and everyone decides to you guys figure out who's going to take watch for the first half and then the second half, and then you all go to bed. So here's the option. You can allow one of the NPCs to take watch on the first half, but one of you will have to take watch on the second half, or you guys can just take the 2 watchers. It's up to you.
I'll take watch on the first. I don't mind. I'm awake.
Okay. Does
I'll
anyone?
take the second.
Okay, there you go. So the two thief hunters are going to keep watch. Safe. If you don't want to get bandited, you want to put bandits in the watch, right? Takes one to know one. All right, cool. So the rest of you can go ahead and sleep through the night. You won't have to make any resilience rolls against the weather because the weather's fine, and you're in tents, except for you who slept outside the tent. But since you're taking second watch, you're going to be outside anyway. All right,
So
so
one of the tents seems to have a profuse amount of snoring coming from it.
Well, that's the ward off predators.
For those who chose to sleep outside the tent, it was probably a good idea.
that's a good point. You brought your own tent. Did you share your tent with Gron, or did you just take your tent by yourself there, Parks?
Parks is kind of an old guy, and he tends to have his own.
You need space for your hips.
I'm not sharing anything with anybody if I.
Okay, so you and Jake are snoring it together. He's a snorer too. He's a large guy as well. I should have clarified. He's a large guy with a beard. He's got a deep voice. Fairly masculine type man.
Rough and gravelly.
Yeah.
Mickey, before you go to sleep, I watched this movie back in the day. It was such a long time ago. It's kind of a relic. Anyways, the character took this belt, right? And she put it around her waist and she slept in a tree. And that way she wouldn't fall out of the tree. So I don't know if you know about that trick.
I'm very familiar with that. I did just donate my rope though, so.
But you have a belt, don't you?
The belt lifted her whole weight? Maybe I'm picturing this wrong.
Or a satchel, maybe a long enough a cord, a satchel, something that ties around.
This documentary sounds like it has fiction in it.
I'm actually thinking Hunger Games.
That's what I was joking.
Yeah.
I was joking about it being a documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give it a try. I'm a lot more comfortable sleeping above the ground than on the ground.
Or we can get some of these guys to maybe lend their belts.
We could just go take it off their sleeping bodies.
We could do that too. I don't think they appreciate it as much, or maybe they think we were doing something else, Just saying. I would just ask permission.
Well, I'll try with my own belt first, and I have a backpack. Maybe I can.
What happens in the woods stays in the woods.
What's the rating on this game? No.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna try the trick with the belts. Maybe we'll see how it works out. Okay, so the first half of the night goes by, completely uneventful. Nothing happens. Nothing seems out of character. Nothing strange happens. It just gets darker and then colder. And the first half goes by. At some point, Jake, I forgot. Jake has a watch, and that's how you guys know when half has occurred. He has a watch with him. It's one of his items. Do any of you have watches or anything to tell time? No?
If it's not on the sheet, it doesn't exist, correct?
Yeah. That's fine. We can put it on the sheet later. But yeah, so Jake lends his watch to everybody. I mean, he uses it for this very purpose. This is why he keeps it with him, is so that whoever he's in camp with can switch off at the appropriate time. So like after a certain number of hours, which you can see on the watch. So you have his watch. It's wherever. It's either with you or it's sitting on a log or whatever. But at some point you realize it's about halfway and it's time to switch out.
Okay, so Aaron goes over to Mickey. Mickey, it's your turn, girl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to see if I can't get into Gron's tent. I think he was a little, he wanted to sleep by himself, but honestly, it's a little bit chilly out here, and I could probably use some more.
Gron is sharing a tent with Jake.
Oh, who's not sharing a tent?
The old man.
Oh, the old man? Fantastic. So,
come on down.
I'm sure he'll be just like my grandpappy. So I just crawl into the tent.
Okay. And you have a sleeping bag in your own inventory, so you don't have to crawl into his sleeping bag, correct?
Right.
Okay, that's probably safe. Because I feel like he'd wake up confused, like, I don't remember drinking anything last night.
What the heck? We stay warmer if we share body heat. What the heck? It's like...
Okay, so you take over, Mickey, at the watch.
Are we keeping the fire lit all night, or did we have a fire?
Yeah, you guys had a fire.
Okay.
I'll
tend to it while I'm on watch, too. Make sure.
Okay. Just go ahead and make one survival roll with advantage, because it's already
so that
there.
would cancel out then, and it'd be just a regular roll.
Exactly. And it'll just...
Instinct. And that is a Oh, that's a 7. So that's amazing.
Yeah, so not only so the whole night you're going to be able to keep the fire going without an issue, even so much so that like you don't even use that much wood to keep it going. Like you keep the embers sort of burning amongst each other or something, and so you don't even really use up your resources in the process of keeping that fire going throughout the night because you did so well. But as the night wears on, you feel something. Go ahead and roll perception for me.
Is a normal success.
Okay. So you hear what sounds like some crunching of a small something, right? You just hear the crunching of sticks and things. It doesn't sound like a person walking around. Probably more like an animal. Because a person has a different sound when they step on a stick than like when something with a small paw steps on a stick, for example. But you do hear some scurrying and movement around your camp, and for a brief moment you feel not alone in that, like not even like outside of your group you feel like there's something else. What do you want to do?
But so I think it seems like an animal.
It sounds like an animal.
Okay. I'd like to kind of head towards where the noise came from, being stealthy.
Okay.
Just to see if I can get a view on it.
Yeah.
So should I roll stealth?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Oh wow.
Which should be one of your good stats. Being
It is.
That's what
Yeah, the stats at 95, but it's a great success.
Okay, so you managed to sort of fade into the woods, into the dark shadows of the tree, the dark in the dark, so that you're moving darker than dark through the shadows.
I've got sunglasses on too.
And the world is just black around you. But you managed to slide around, and you don't see anything as you're moving through. Like you keep noticing sounds and that feeling, but you don't see anything. But at the same time, whatever it is that's out there doesn't seem to be following you. So it's not like it notices you and is tracking you or anything like that. You're moving around, and you keep catching just noticeable moments with it.
And it's just one thing.
That's what it seems like, right? It doesn't sound like it's not the sounds you're hearing are not so far apart to be multiple things. If it's got to be either one thing, or if it's more than one thing, they're super clumped together, right? But you can't seem to lay eyes on whatever it is. However, I want you to roll for me your luck real fast.
Okay. That is a very big failure.
Unfortunately, you managed to step on one of your own traps.
So I got a question for you. All right. I have the psychic symmetry, I think is ability.
Oh, okay.
So I'm wondering if in his sleep something would trigger because it's...
No.
Okay.
So psychosymmetry, right? You have to. You're trying to link minds. It's like the Vulcan mind meld, right? You're trying to link minds with something.
Do I have to be in close proximity then?
Yeah, sort of. You have to be. Yeah, you do have to be within super close proximity to it.
Okay.
Like if you're in short range, then you can pull it. But if you're in long range, you can't.
Okay.
But the other side effect of that is when you're asleep, you sometimes meld dreams with people accidentally. Fortunately, there's nobody in the tent with you. Oh wait, there is.
Woo! This is gonna be interesting.
Right. So you and Aaron are going to. Aaron needs to make a. This is inadvertent, but makes a resolve roll. So if you can roll your resolve for me and tell me if you succeed or fail.
I'm such a noob. Where the hell's resolve?
Yeah, I'll help you out with that. So resolve is down just below the shield symbol. There's resilience, resolve, immunity, and salvage.
Okay.
Those are your main special stats.
36. So fail.
Okay, so you failed. So
okay, well, hold on a minute. I didn't mean to interrupt what was going on with the traps and everything.
Right, you guys are gonna have a shared dream sequence. So what you can do so that you surprise us with what it is. Why don't you guys try to, I guess, in the chat, nobody look at the chat while they're talking, discuss what the dream sequence is going to be that you guys share. So over here, and Richard and Dana, don't look at the chat while they're discussing whatever they want to do for the shared dream sequence.
Oh my god!
I can just close it, so I don't have to. I'll just wait and see what it is in the end. Okay, so back over here. So you step on one of the traps that you set.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of, try my best not to like curse under my breath at how
stifle
painful
your painful like thing. Fortunately for you, it's not tremendously bad. Go ahead. You have just roll resilience and tell me what you get, and I'll tell you how much damage you take.
I got 47, which is a success for me.
Okay, just one success?
Yeah.
Okay, so that negates 2 points. You have the option of taking the 4 remaining points to your armor or to yourself. Or between, you can split it between. So if you want to take 3 to your armor and 1 to yourself, or 1 to your armor and 3 to yourself, it's up to you.
Okay, and where is the damage spot down here?
So right above, so if you have, which character sheet do you have? The new one or the old one?
The new one, I think. Whatever one you gave me a couple days ago.
The one with the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's in the on the first page in the center. Right below resilience, you've got this box that says health points.
Oh yeah.
It says current and max.
Wait, how would I didn't figure that out? How would you figure out your current?
So what is your build?
Average.
No, the number.
Oh, number 95.
Okay, so 95 is going to be 18. It's basically that number divided by 5.
Okay.
So it's gonna be maybe 19, I think.
Okay.
Does that sound right? Let me get my calculator out. Maths. Who needs maths? Maths is stupid. No one should do maths. 95 divided by 5 equals 19. Yep, I was right. 19.
Okay, I'll take 2 to my armor, 2 to my points.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so you will go ahead and you manage to get that trap off your foot, having taken some damage, without making too much noise, without a lot of clicks and clacks. Do you try to reset it, or you just let it go?
I just let it go.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so then you don't have this problem of trying to make it not click and clack while you're trying to set it. But you managed to get your foot free without causing too much. But at the same time, you lost whatever it was that you were following. It's gone.
Okay. I'll head back to where it was taking my watch.
Okay. Do you want to apply some a bandage to yourself? Do you have? Well, you don't. Do you have any component pieces that you could wrap around, like a bandage or something? You could just wrap off.
How many component pieces would be
one. Just one.
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Because it's 1 per every 4 hit points or health points that you're trying to heal. So basically just 1 component piece in this case, and you won't roll medicine to try to heal it. Just patch yourself up, and then we'll deal with it in the future. Okay. So the rest period ends. You wake up, or everyone starts waking up, and the morning is upon you. The sun comes up. Those of you who have taken damage get to heal 2 points of damage. Boom. See right there.
So some interesting things about chat. You can do a private chat to individuals.
Oh, I did not know that. Thank you for enlightening me. Cool. So you guys had a private chat, so I did not have to see it. So now, so now, everyone starts waking up in the morning, and old man Parks over here wakes up to find a girl in his tent.
Oh man, it's crowded in here. What the? Good grief, girl! What are you doing here?
Oh, just a couple more minutes. I need my shut eye.
Oh, your eyes gonna be shut, all right. he's slipping the bag out of the tent.
Wow,
Jeez,
he's
that's
shoving you
what
out.
That's what I get. Most guys are pretty happy when a young girl like me comes into a tent. But okay, I guess you might be going a different route, huh?
Not a different route. I never mind. Let's just get going. And it's like, wait a minute. He hits his head on the tent as he sits up. It's like, okay.
All right. So Jake wakes up, Gron, and he's like, "Oh, we should get things going. We're gonna have to see what we found to make breakfast, and then we gotta move on to see if we can find bigger game."
Gron just kind of grunts back. He starts crawling out slowly.
All right. So everyone starts to wake up. They start talking about how they slept. You know, the standard thing of, how'd you sleep? Oh, I slept okay. How'd you sleep? Oh, I had a terrible, terrible dream. Right? And so that sort of stuff starts happening. And then Jake, after stretching a little bit. Oh, you guys can do that part. Sorry. If you want to do anything there.
Oh.
If you want to talk about it.
Like,
You don't have to. I'm just saying you can. Otherwise, Jake is going to ask someone to go with him to go check the traps.
I had the weirdest dream last night. I dreamed about these cybernetic dogs, and they were screaming something fierce. They were dressed from head to toe in military gear, and they were like, "We need to get them bones from the waters." It was so crazy.
And as Parks hears this, he sticks his head out. Oh, gosh. I guess I wasn't the only one with that. That was rough.
Sergeant Pup was in your dream as well?
Well, there's lots of barking, all right. Man, did you smell that water? That was bad. Ugh.
I know, I never had smell-o-vision in my dreams before. It was something weird, though. It smelled like death and decay.
Yeah? Was it in color?
As a matter of fact, it was. It was blue and green and reds in the water.
Yeah, okay. Just remember that the next time you decide to slip into the tent, all right?
Slipping in the tent gives us dreams about Sergeant Puppas?
Well, could be worse.
I guess.
And Parks doesn't say much more. He's just like, he goes about his business. He's taking his tent down and whatnot. It's like, okay, well.
Those of you who have been around are aware that there are some psychic abilities that do that sort of thing. So this isn't that strange to hear that people share dreams. It happens. But this might be the first time you've experienced two people being like, yeah, I totally dreamed what you dreamed.
Freaky. A little weird. So.
Okay, so Jake, then he stretches. He's seemingly dressed all good for a day's hike. He's packed most of his stuff up and even struck his tent. And he says, all right, so we're going to have to go check these traps to see if we caught anything. If we did, then that's breakfast. If not, I guess we're going to have some of Gron's jerky.
Just a heads up, there's going to be a trap that's been set off.
Why?
That was my fault. I will take full responsibility.
You set off a trap on purpose?
No, I walked into it.
Okay. I mean, we've all gone out into the woods after setting up traps to relieve ourselves and walked into one. It happens to the best of us. We'll forgive you this time. Which one was it?
I'll tell him whatever one I walked.
Yeah, whichever one. The northeast.
Did you
corner.
see anything last night? Everything was okay, Mickey?
There was something. I couldn't see it, which was a little weird. I heard it. But it.
Oh, no. What did it sound like?
It sounded kind of a little like an animal.
Like a high-pitched animal? Or was it like
a little early for that noise? It sounded like you said, like skittering. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it sounded like
a skittering. Whoa, was it like a medium-sized skittering, or maybe like a Zambo that had a club foot?
No, I'm pretty sure it was some kind of animal, and I just hope one of the other traps got it.
Oh, we should go check the traps before we do anything else. Don't you think so, guys?
Gron grunts in agreement, kind of hiding his jerky and walking over towards the traps.
Cool. Gron is not sharing that jerky. All right.
Where did you
Ain't
hear
going nowhere.
those noises, Mickey? Because we need to look at those that area to see if there's anything over there, or was at least.
I agree. Why don't you take us around to show us where you heard these noises? Joe, Timmy, why don't you guys keep an eye out and see if you see anything?
And make sure you stir the pot, Jimmy. You don't want nothing sticking to the bottom. My grandpappy used to always tell me not to have burnt stuff.
Add extra flavor to the next meal, huh?
Haha, it sure does, but it also does something else, and you don't like that.
Let's not share that dream, and then we'll just pass that one up.
Okay, so you guys start going back around the general path that you tried to follow to see if you find anything, and you do stumble across. I mean, you obviously find the trap you stepped on. You could see it now that it's daylight. That's cool, but you do find that almost all of the other traps have been set off. And when you get to them, you find that not only were they were set off, but there's signs that you had caught something in them, but that something isn't there. And by that I mean there's blood and fur around the trap, and the feet, what appears to be canine paw marks in the mud around them.
Mm-hmm.
The Gron picks up one of the fur from one of the traps, just kind of looks at it close. And
Rabbit.
so he turns to the old man and asks him, like, do you know this type of animal?
Rabbit, Jake says. But you can ask the old man if you want. It's rabbit.
Oh, let's look at them prints down there. Are those rabbit prints?
No, they're definitely not rabbit prints.
Can I take a look at the dog or whatever prints?
Yeah, go ahead and you do tracking, right? To like see if you can follow up. Yeah, totally.
Oh, that is an amazing success.
Cool. Yeah, you absolutely can follow the tracks. They do sort of circle the tree a few times, and while you're following them, just initially just kind of looking at where they go, you know, like little pieces of fur and some blood, so probably eating the thing that was caught in the trap in the process of walking around. But then it wanders off, and as you follow it, you begin to realize that it was basically the same path that you were hearing the movement the night before. So you've found the prints of the culprit that was making all the noise.
Do those look like regular size paws or bigger size paws than normal?
They're slightly bigger sized paws than normal, but not too big. Like maybe a bigger wolf thing or a small, large dog. Something that's sort of in between what you'd find to be like like a coyote, the regular size of a wolf, and slightly like a large. It's not like a giant wolf, but like a slightly bigger wolf. And weirdly, and this is where it gets strange as you begin to follow the tracks, they don't just sort of randomly go. They move almost like from point A to point B, from trap to trap.
So Gron's definitely not happy about something stealing breakfast.
Looks like it was kind of intelligent too, huh?
So Gron's like, we're going to go get.
A question real quick. What knowledge do we have of things that are in this world or possible things? I mean, what kind of connections can we make?
So you have a decent knowledge about the world. I don't know if you read the write-up on the campaign at all, but everyone has a general understanding on how things work in the world and what kinds of monsters and things are in it. There's actually a group of people that meets to talk about supernatural entities. And they're part of they meet every week, sort of like a worship session where they talk about various things going on, but they also talk about monsters. Meanwhile, there's sort of like a counter movement where everyone talks about the other things. So everyone has, on top of their normal knowledges that they have, another one related to some other type of monster that they weren't personally involved with. So everyone has a basic understanding. So everyone can make an intelligence roll to sort of know what's going on in the world, but you all get it at +10, essentially. because you kind of know what's happening. But you generally understand the monsters in the world, and you're not surprised, for example, to find out that there might be giant mutated wolves or something like that. So that question is answered there. Yeah, that's a question of supernatural entity question. And I don't think any of you have been to the Rapture. How many of you... Okay, so based on... This is a real quick question. And you could say... You can choose to do that, Aaron, because you weren't part of the original Session 0 discussion. But did either of you that were there decide that your character might go to the weekly worship session? I know we decided that Brother probably did.
Mickey didn't.
Okay. What about...
Yeah,
what about
there's... No.
Okay.
God bless America. Of course I did.
Okay. So, yeah. So you do know that maybe. You can go ahead and make the roll to see if this is what it is. The answer is yes, they do exist. The question posed was werewolves, right? If you guys didn't see that.
Yeah. I didn't know if there was werewolves or... Yeah.
They do exist according to the board game, and therefore they do exist according to the RPG. And so you can make a intelligence roll plus 10 to determine if you... Wait, is it plus 10? Why am I saying plus 10? No, you get to make an intelligence roll at advantage. Sorry.
Right, so
advantage. I don't know why I keep saying plus 10. I don't know why that was in my head. But you get to roll at
advantage.
Advantage, you're going to roll. So you're rolling a third. So, you normally roll two d10s for like a roll, right? You're going to roll a third one. So
Right.
so this is my normal roll. You're going to roll a third one. And you're going to take the better of the two. So the disadvantage is the worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I rolled a 30. So it'd be like, all right, so my intelligence is a 20 and then plus 10 would be a 30. So I rolled at it.
Yeah, we'll say that's fine. Yeah, you totally know that this could be a werewolf track. It certainly does represent that size range. If this thing was an intelligent wolf, that makes you think werewolf.
Well, that would explain why there's nothing else other than the fur. I mean, he would have...
Lore in this...
opened it.
Does this have a lore of like moon cycles, or does this have just
No,
curiosity?
as far as you know, that there's basically people that can transform into animals.
Okay, like shapeshifters.
Yeah, shapeshifters.
Okay.
Yep.
So it looks like that what we have here could possibly be one of them shape-shifting werewolf types. I don't know for sure. I'm kind of sure, only because I went to temple. And brother something or other said something about a werewolf. I was paying attention as much as I could, but it's just really hard to do when they stray away from Christ.
Yeah, Brother Kane, he does have a tendency to ramble on a little bit.
Good old Brother Kane. Way to bring in another PC. I appreciate that.
I'm working on it.
Cool.
Gron seems to like this idea of a big wolf that translates into bigger breakfast.
You can keep following the tracks if you would like to. They lead definitely away from your camp.
Do we want to, though? Do we really want to tangle with something like this?
Well, it's either that or it follows us, one of the two.
I mean, it didn't attack us. It just attacked what was inside our trap. So it probably doesn't want to kill us because it had the opportunity to do so, don't you think?
Well,
It definitely did. It could have gotten me.
Very
Well,
easily, I would assume. I say live and let live on this because it didn't show us no harm. It just wanted to eat, just like we did.
Yeah, but if he ate all the food in the traps, and he goes off and starts counting, that's 10. That means we're short on some food here, people.
Then we can go hunting for something else, but I don't think that kind of predator is something that we should be hunting for.
I agree with that. There's a river up
Besides,
ahead.
they do change back into human shape, so I would just be prepared, just in case it does become a human. And we see somebody out there.
Well, I would remind you that space is a little limited in the compound. We can't go be bringing any old person back to the compound right now. So,
Well, especially if they're a werewolf. Why would we? A shifter.
so
That's funny you say that. Erin actually, and the thought crosses her mind to look around as far as tracks inside her own camp to see if maybe one of the brothers or Jake or Joe, Jake, or the other person that didn't get a name yet. Timmy.
Yeah, it's Timmy, Joe, and
Timmy.
Jake.
Okay, Timmy
Joe.
might have been that person, werewolf creature.
So you're gonna look around and see if you see any.
But I'm not gonna say it specific like out loud.
Right. No. So you're gonna look around and see if you see any sort of canine tracks leading.
Anything that could possibly, yeah.
Okay. So if you want to try to do that, I guess in this case it's either perception or tracking, whichever one of those is better for you. If they're exactly the same, then pick
the
one.
Same thing.
Yep.
44, not bad because it's 45 as a cutoff.
Right.
Cool. You don't see any tracks that seem to appear like they come back toward the tent or the camp, and you don't see any of them that converge on human footprints. Besides the ones that you clearly know belonged to her because she was like, I was trying to follow this thing. And you know they clearly belong to her because they're about the same shape and size as her foot. And it's the path she said she followed. So you can reasonably assume that it was her. So unless she's the shape-shifting werewolf, they don't. There's no point when those converge. The canine tracks just sort of leave the camp. They leave the camp, and there's not really any human footprints that come back toward the camp.
She's the only one that's not complaining about needing to eat anything. I'm a little worried.
Does she have fur around her mouth?
Right. Do you have any blood on her hands?
Actually, she does have blood on her hands or leg.
Oh, which reminds me, I don't know. That's one of the things Parks would check out and see if Mickey needs additional attention.
Oh no.
You can. So this would be an assessment of your. I mean, she waved you off, but this mechanically, you'd assess her. She's waving you off. She could also help you and be like, "I injured my foot," right? But if she was say unconscious, you'd roll a perception to see if you can tell what is wrong with her. But she waved you off. She said she was fine. So.
Okay.
I mean, you could still sneakily perceive if she's injured if you want to. That's what you want to do.
my
checking her out as when she's like.
But
you kick a girl out of your tent and then you check out another one. Man, I don't know what's up with you.
It's
maybe Erin was too young for him. I don't know.
I get the feeling that Mickey's roughly the same age. Maybe older. I don't know.
I went with
How old is Mickey?
30.
30. Okay, older. My bad.
Yeah, Erin's 18, so
just as long as Mickey isn't leaking fluid, there's not like blood trails or anywhere.
No, she's not bleeding.
Like, okay, whatever.
It doesn't even look like there's a whole lot of blood on the bandage itself. Like it doesn't look like it was a serious injury.
All right, no worries. Okay, so
All right, well, I guess we don't have breakfast, so why don't we just strike camp and see if we can find something in the woods. I do also think that we should just leave this whatever it was that bothered us and keep an eye out tomorrow night when we set up camp.
too bad there ain't some fishing areas that we can go to.
There's a river.
There's a river. Well, we should go fishing.
I mean, I brought my rod and reel.
Fantastic. We can also use spears and I'm a hunter. And I know how to I'm a hunter. I would know how to do this.
You are literally a hunter, yes.
I am literally quote a hunter. And I know how to catch fish with my bare hands.
So Gron would also make some comment about animals also like water. So we might be able to find some bigger game nearby a river.
Okay. So you guys begin traveling, or you guys travel toward the river, looking to see if you can find some bigger game and or stuff along the way, maybe even fish. What is my computer doing? That's weird. Okay, so you're moving along, and you notice something. Everyone can make a perception roll or tracking, whichever one is better.
You want us to say which one?
Right?
Yeah, it's based on instinct. They're both instinct.
Mine are the same, so I'm going to say right now I'm doing perception.
Okay.
degrees of success.
I failed.
I failed as well.
Okay. All right. So you guys.
Ooh, just a quick question.
Yep.
Some of our skills have a P or an S next to them. What does
Right.
that mean?
Okay, so that's a good point. I should have clarified that. That's the proficiency level. So in the game, your skills have levels of proficiency. It's how you track whether or not you've put more effort into learning them. At character creation, you have a series of skills that you are proficient in. But there are they're basically 4 skills that, depending on your survivor type, you could have skilled in. It's going to be perception, crafting, survival, and tracking, right? That's what the S stands for. It means skilled. It means that you have a +5 in that because you've done it so much that you're slightly better at it than you are at your other skills.
Okay,
so you won't have you won't have S on things like charm, right? Even though you might be like a charming person. But during character development, you can use experience points to gain another level of proficiency and thus gain the S in that and the +5, right? So there's going to be there's P, S, T, and M.
Cool.
Yep. So that's what it is. So you have an S in it. That means you're skilled at it. And you're not going to roll to see if you see anything, Richard, or are you going to do that?
Oh, I failed.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there were 3 failures and 1 old man who saw something. So you guys don't notice it, but the old man finds some deer tracks.
Like, Jake, these tracks are your department.
Oh, yes. Those definitely are deer tracks. Timmy Joe, why don't you go ahead and scout forward and see if you can see them, the deer, and we'll follow behind and see if we can catch them or catch them off guard and take them out. Just leave your just don't shoot at them or don't attack them. Just see if you can get toward them and see where they've gone without alerting them. So you guys are in a little bit of a training session with the kids. So the two teenagers walk off as stealthily as they can. To those of you who are not proficient in stealth, they seem to do a pretty good job of slipping into the trees. For those of you who are proficient in stealth, they did a horrendous job of not being seen.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, like if this was a Monty Python skit, they would immediately have been blown up.
The holy hand grenade.
They're doing a very, very bad job of not being seen.
Well, at least they won't get bit by snakes.
Stomp, stomp, stomp,
right.
stomp.
So you guys follow these tracks for a bit, and then you hear one of the teenagers scream. He just lets out a scream.
Breakfast, anyone?
So Gron starts running over.
Okay.
Looks like we lost another Timmy.
All right. So Gron apparently runs toward them. The two where the teenagers went. You don't have to make a perception roll. They were doing a very bad job of not being seen. So you get to them, and what you find when you get into this sort of somewhat of a clearing, it's basically just a couple of trees that are spaced a little bit apart from each other. You find an animal, a deer, that is strung up in the trees with its insides cut open and just opened and stretched to the branches of the tree to display the inside of this creature. It's dripping blood onto the ground, which is piling and congealing right below it. But it has been clearly cut and spread open by someone or something. You have to make a resolve roll because of the grotesque nature of this display. That's right below the shield on your character sheet. It's resolve. It's the middle one.
Man, I am getting really bad rolls.
Oh, no.
So I got a 90-something with a 77 resilience. I'm actually going to use my luck thing because...
it's resolve, not resilience.
Oh, it's not resilience?
No, it's resolve. It's the second
32.
one. So it's even worse.
Yeah, I feel it.
Okay. Yeah, that's no good.
He's never seen breakfast this way before.
This is just grotesque. It's just disturbing in all ways. So when that happens, what you lose control of yourself a little bit. You become unnerved. What it means is that for the next bit of time, you're going to suffer from disadvantage. It's going to be a number of combat rounds, and I'll just go ahead and pick a number of combat rounds. I'm going to roll for it. Okay, so 2 combat rounds. So the first 2 combat rounds of the next combat, you'll have disadvantage, but otherwise you'll be fine. Or if you take a short rest, you can make a second resolve roll to get rid of it. If you take a long rest, it goes away. So that's what'll happen. So it'll disappear eventually, or you'll push it off or shake it off.
It's a good thing you're wearing the brown pants, huh?
But yeah. But this completely threw you off. Like it's just you just feel just incredibly unnerved by the situation that you've discovered. This is not normal behavior for animals in the forest for sure. This definitely has some intelligence behind it. However, go ahead and roll perception for me real fast. Or tracking, whichever one is better for you, which I think they're probably both the same and both not great.
I got a 6, which is awesome.
Nice.
Oh,
Okay.
that's very good.
Cool. So that's great. And in your case, I guess you do have perception, yeah? So that's an amazing success, which is well enough. You note that in the ground around this congealed blood and stuff, there are definitely footprints. They are definitely not human, but they're definitely not animal. These things are bizarrely shaped. They seem to be almost cloven in a way, but they have 3 toes. But it's like a bare foot, but it's like a size of a human foot, spread with the third with 3 big toes, essentially.
Interesting. Question is the deer still edible?
Yes.
Yes. Very slowly. Yes.
So Gron's going to look at tracks, and he's going to look at the deer. He's going to try to cut the deer down and then drag it back to the other people and tell them what.
Despite being incredibly unnerved by this situation, you decide I'm going to eat it anyway. I mean, hunger is a motivating factor. So yeah, you can cut it down. Not a problem. You're a trained warrior. You're not going to fail at cutting it down. Though it does take you twice as long as you think it should take you, just because like you just keep getting shaken. Like it's just not natural for it to be starting up like it is, with the sinews all spread out and used. But it is still edible. The 2 teenagers, when you showed up, they both ran off. So the rest of you, Timmy and Joe, come back to you. Timmy is wet himself, very clearly. Either that or he fell in the river that you haven't got to yet. So, but he won't even talk about what's happening. And Joe tries to describe what he's seen. And he describes this hanging deer with the insides on the outsides, with the flesh spread open and the muscles just visible to the world, and the congealing blood dripping off of it in these slow drips of just thick red.
And this was found in a tree, Timmy, Joe.
Joe says, yes, in a tree.
And it was strung up by like a string, like maybe it was from a hunter. I mean, that's how I used to hunt with my grandpappy. We used to go out and we used to cut open the deer and we would take the insides out, but we would put it in a tree so no other predators would get to it. And we just let all the blood and everything else just come right out. I mean, that ain't nothing new, but I guess that means that we got some other humans around here then. We're not the only ones.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I just saw it was up in the tree, and it was very I mean, I've seen them open like food and have it like dry out to make jerky, but that was, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was, man. That was just weird. It was just weird.
It's okay. It's just a fresh kill. That's all. It hadn't been into that jerky process yet. That's the beginning stages before the jerky comes, because you gotta let everything drain out of the body. Okay, and then you skin it, and then you let it drain a little bit more, and then you start to make the jerky. But you know what? Don't worry about it. I could tell that you're upset right now. What we're going to do is we're going to find that river and clean you up, okay?
Gron, as you take the deer down from the tree and start carrying it back toward the others, you hear the sound of someone breathing nearby.
So I drop the deer and I look around.
Okay. You don't quite see a person. Like, there's not somebody standing there, but you do see a shoe sticking out from behind a nearby tree. It's a little bit of a larger tree. It's more like a stump than a tree, but it is a tree-ish. It's like 5 feet tall. But there's a shoe, and it's sort of upwards, like it's sitting on the ground, pointed upward.
So I'm going to pull out my long machete and kind of creep up towards it, kind of poke at the shoe.
So when you get to it, you don't need to poke at the shoe, as it were. You see there's a leg attached to the shoe and a person attached to the leg, and that's the person that was breathing. They have been injured. They're bleeding, and their wrists have bruise marks as if they've been bound. It's a male, a young man, probably in his early 20s, but he's been injured. His stomach is cut, and like I said, his wrists have been bruised, and he's breathing heavily. He's got brown hair that's just sort of mangled and gnarly, and he's got a bit of a beard, some unshavenness, but not a full beard. Some scragginess to him.
So I'm going to call over some of the others to check this out. I actually need to step out just 1 second. I'll be right back. But I'm going to basically call over people to come check this out.
Okay.
Just 1 second.
That's fine. So you guys hear Gron start shouting that there's someone over here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead. It's okay, go ahead.
When I hear Gron, I'll kind of make my way towards it, but at towards him, but at a kind of an angle, like through the trees.
Trying to use some stealthy maneuvers to get there. You can roll stealth for me to sneak up on it. On whatever it is that he's shouting about.
That is a normal success.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
wait. Hold on. I get stealth at advantage. Let me do another one.
Is it because of your boots, or because of your camo
No,
jacket,
it's from
or because
my
of your
sneaky ability.
Oh, and the sneaky ability. There you go. Yeah.
Which is better, and that is a great success.
Okay, cool. So, great. So people to see you have to get an amazing success to see you. So, good job. You're hiding quite well. You were doing a very good job of not being seen. Man, I don't think anyone's getting my Monty Python references. All right. So you're doing a good job of not being seen. Everyone else, how are you guys approaching? Jake just starts going straight for it.
Timmy, I guess we're just going to have to postpone that well-needed bath or shower from the stream. We're going to have to find out what's going on. Mickey just ran off, so everybody else, I guess we should follow suit.
Jake took off too, because he thought there's a danger. He grabbed his bow and just rushed toward it. So it's basically you and the old man and the two teenagers.
I'm going to have to change his name. I'm going to call him the old man.
I mean, Parks is a name. It's definitely a name.
Yeah, but anyway, Parks actually doesn't move. He's so I guess he's close enough to the strung up carcass and everything. He basically situates the two boys away from the carcass, where they're turned around so they don't have to see it and stuff.
Is the carcass near us? I thought it was off in the woods.
It's a distance away. Yeah, it's a little bit of a
yeah. So we're not there yet.
So yeah, the kids came back to you, right? So
okay.
So when Gron got there, they ran back, and so while Gron was doing the thing of getting unnerved by it and then deciding he was going to cut it down to make it for food and start carrying it back to you, all that stuff occurred while they were explaining to you why they had wet themselves and why they were terrified.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then Gron's like, "There's someone over here," and then Mickey and Jake ran off, and there you are.
All right. Well, then he'll just walk with the boys up to somewhere near the clearing, but not where they can actually visually see it.
Okay.
Park, just keep them safe. I'm actually going to circumvent and walk the other way really quietly and stealthily so I could, try to get the advantage.
All right. No worries.
Gotta babysit the kids. Okay. So are you you're gonna stealthy approach?
Yep.
Okay.
I will do that. And I rolled a 32. and stealth is 85, 42, 21. So 30. Yeah.
2 degrees. That's a
yeah.
great success. Good job. Again, they have to get higher than that to see you. So they have to get an amazing success on their perception roll to see you. So you're doing a good job of not being seen. Meanwhile, so we'll handle the rest of this scene with this guy and what's happening after I talk to the old man and the 2 teens that he's got with him. Timmy feels really bad. She mentioned the falling in the stream thing, so he realizes that he's wet himself, and he kind of feels weird about it, and he wants to change into this one pair of pants that he brought with him.
Like, yeah, there ain't nobody else here. You do what you need to. And he's like looking into the clearing, trying to, you know.
So he's looking past them and trying to see what he can see beyond them.
Yeah, actually, one of the things he does is he actually does, like, he puts a hand on the boy's shoulders and actually, like, does his, like, Vulcan mind read thing to see what they actually saw.
Ah, that is brilliant. All right, so okay, well, Timmy
this time he's not going to share the dreams. You know, we're not going to have similar.
Okay, so Timmy succeeded. He got an 02 on his resolve roll to resist the mind meld. I don't know what your I don't think it's a roll off. I think it's just they have to make a resolve roll, right? I think that's how it goes. I think that's how
check
I
here. My copy might be a little old here. Survivor character may link their minds with others.
I guess it doesn't say.
Yeah, to blend their
so
thoughts.
I guess it would just be a resolve roll then, because it's not you're trying to enter their mind. The other guy failed, however, so you totally get the image of what it is. So you get like this straight on, like you get to experience it from Joe's perspective, which is an interesting thing for you because you do feel his feelings. Mm-hmm. They just don't have the same kind of effect. Like you don't come out of it unnerved, right? But you do feel his feelings. You feel his emotions. You live the moment over with him in his memory.
So yeah.
Fortunately, you didn't mind meld with Timmy at the same time because you would have had the same emotions, only also wet yourself, which is a weird feeling to have. So anyway, you experience it.
Personal there.
Well, because while you're doing this mind meld, Timmy sort of wandered off a little bit to go behind a tree to change his pants.
Okay.
And so when you come out of the mind meld, Timmy's not there.
Right.
All right, so back to the rest of you guys. So the rest of you come up through your various means of uber stealth, or not in the case of Jake, who just rushed at it. You come to find Gron standing over a guy. Gron, how are you standing over him? Like, what are you doing?
So I still have my machete out, but since I'm realizing he's all bound up, like mostly.
Well, he was bound up. He has the bruising marks, like he had his hands tied, but he doesn't have ties on his hands now.
So I still have my machete pointed at him, then still. Kind of like, don't move. Get these other people over here. Check out what's going on.
Okay. So the rest of you arrive to see Gron standing over a person with some slightly disheveled brown hair, some facial hair, and is wearing some tattered clothes that are brown. But mostly you notice that he's bleeding from his stomach, from an injury that he has there, and his wrists show clear signs of having bruising. In like a very linear fashion around them.
Is he middle-aged, older, younger?
He's younger. He's in his early 20s. So he's probably 22, 23-ish. That's the feel you get from him. And he's just breathing heavily, and he's conscious.
If out of nowhere, Aaron appears. Ron, what's going on? Who's
voluntarily drop stealth.
The Gron says, I found him behind the stump.
Jake comes over.
Boy, you gotta speak up. What's up with you? What's wrong with your guts?
Jake comes up to him and kneels down and says, "Yes, looks like you've been through something." The young man starts talking. At first, it's quiet and whispers, and you can't really make out what he's saying. But then he starts to talk more, and you get the feeling that he's fairly parched from the way that he's talking. And he says, "I was camping and hunting around here, and then I don't know what happened. there were two of us, my brother and I, and we went to sleep. And then when I woke in the morning, I was being hung from a tree by my hands, and something was watching me. And I managed to break free. And then it attacked, but I couldn't see it. It came from the shadows. It was almost like it was the shadows. And I laid here and thought I would die. And now here you are.
What's your name, son?
Stephen.
NPC. And what's your brother's name, NPC? Huh? No. I'll just drive you crazy.
And your mother.
Stephen was his name.
Stevenson?
While this guy's talking, Gron's gonna hand him some jerky.
Okay. He tries to chew on it and coughs a little bit. His mouth is far too dry, and his
mouth is dry and the throat is dry and everything is dry.
He's parched. Yeah. So his name is Steven. His brother's name is
Steven, I gotta ask you a
Michael.
really weird question. And I look straight in his eyes in a really calm, sober face. There are things out here that can shapeshift, that turn into animals. Have you seen one, or are you one? I'm not judging you if you are. I just need you to tell me the truth here. Or is maybe your brother? Something hunting you, maybe?
Okay, so he says no. Go ahead and roll the perception roll for me, because you're so close to his face.
19. Perception 11, 22, 45.
So that's 2 degrees. He's lying to you. You can tell.
I don't think you're telling the truth, son, and now's a really good time to let us know the truth. It's okay. We won't do nothing to you, but you need to tell us right now.
My brother and I, we can shift. We can change.
Is that wound? Did you visit maybe our camp? I'm sure if you wanted them changes, I hear they have really good noses, so you probably smelt us. Now, that in mind, did you perhaps get into our traps last night?
No. I tell you, something came out of the trees, out of the darkness, and attacked me, and it struck me up. And he shows you his wrists.
So something with hands, then, that could string you up.
Yeah, something the size of a man, that walked like a man, but with shadows.
I don't know much about your culture, but is something hunting you specifically?
That's when you say that, Jake stands up straight and goes, maybe. Just maybe. And he starts looking around and says, we shouldn't stay here very long. I think I know what this is. He looks at Gron and says, Gron, can you carry him?
Gron grunts and he grabs. He looks wistfully at the deer, though.
I'll explain as we go, but we must get the boys and get out of here. Now.
We could probably take the deer. I mean, there's so many of us that we could probably just carry it, too. It ain't no big deal.
We need to move as fast as possible.
All right, but you're going to need to tell us what's going on, buddy. I mean, we can't just be left in the dark and just be told that there's something out there that's going to get us.
I'll explain, but we need to move. We need to move now.
Well, walk and talk, sir, but we got to go back there first. While we're walking and talking and going back towards the stream, you can tell us the story.
All right, so as you walk, as you're moving as quickly as you can back to this guy, old man, you come out of your, memory scape with your friend there who, this is the thing about the mind meld you just did. Your lives blended for a minute, so he's experienced part of your life too. You guys are now like super close. This kid will forever be slightly different because he's experienced a few years of living your life. which is
A few years in a
do.
few minutes. Wow, that's impressive.
yeah, he gets like a bunch of flashes of memory that he can't really understand, so it's going to take him a little while to be able to sort them out in his mind between what were his memories and what were your memories.
Okay.
So he might remember something like the birth of his first child, or something.
like,
You know, just
"What?"
weird things of being like, I'm 13. I don't have a kid. What is going on here? But if you like, he really feels it, really remembers it, like looking out of your eyes at that moment, right? So he's gonna have issues for a little while until he sorts out what happened.
All right. Well, okay. So those are things that I didn't see in the. In the
Yeah,
notes,
so that part's in the sort of the game master section a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So the mind meld, what it allows you to do is, because you have melted your like worlds together, and blended your minds and thoughts,
Okay.
you have advantage on charm rolls because you know what motivates that person.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's how that works. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna gather some information from him.
Yeah, it's really useful for gathering information. It also works dually in that they gain information from you. So you basically get closer to them. You build rapport in an instant.
And you get random bouts of teenage angst.
Not
fortunately,
again!
the-
Dang, I hate that! Oh, man!
the interesting thing is that if you're targeting them and they're not used to this kind of thing, they get random snippets of information from you. They don't really know what to do with it. But you
Right.
can target, because you're used to it, you can target specific pieces of knowledge. Right? And that's what you
Okay,
did.
so basically in a time sequence, you're like, I just need to know something to last last 5 minutes,
It'll work. It can go all the way back too, though, because you blend your thoughts. But you just have to
Right.
push harder to get farther back, right?
Okay.
Whatever just happened will be the freshest things on their memory.
Yeah. Well, it was certainly fresh. Woo.
Yep.
Timmy. Wow.
Also,
My
Timmy is
God.
gone. He's gone when you come out of it. Like gone,
You mentioned that he was gone.
gone.
Ah.
You don't see him anywhere.
Hmm.
And the rest come back to you.
Right.
Jake leads the party because he's moving quickly, and while he's moving, he comes up to you guys, and you hear him talking, and this is what the rest of you guys know. He goes, "There are things that come from the skies. They can blend themselves to look like the reality around them, the world around them, and they can blend into the trees and the ground and the grass. But they are aliens, and they hunt, and like all aliens, they're gathering biological parts. They're harvesting us. And if this guy, this man here, Steven, is something supernatural, it doesn't surprise me that they could be or were hunting him." And he gets to you and looks around and says, "Where's Timmy?"
He went off to change his clothes.
I think he fell down the well.
Where's Lassie? Here, Lassie.
Couldn't resist.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question, and this is sort of, well, this is just a simple question. I did not realize that the time was reaching the end of a 2-hour point. There are two options. We can story it back to the home, and that's where we leave it, or we could run a combat as you get attacked by the thing that took Timmy. How do you guys want to do it? Do you want to stay for a little bit longer, or do you want to just end here?
I can stay for a bit longer.
I can say, how long do you think combat takes? Because I remember it taking quite a while before.
I don't know. It depends on how far, how much.
At this point, you're going to get attacked by the thing, realizing that Timmy is gone. That creature is clearly nearby, and it's coming back for more because what it discovered was 3 people in the woods, one of which wandered off from the other 2, and the other 2 seemed to be staring at each other blankly. It being an alien has some slight psychic abilities, and noticed that you were communicating with minds, which makes you an even more interesting target to harvest.
Come on, buddy boy. Let's see how. I'll go psychic wars with you.
So my guess is that it would probably take another 15, 20 minutes. Well, it depends. I mean, if you guys, it's 4-on-1, so.
Well,
it
four
may be
on
really
one.
quickly. It may be real
Yeah, it'd
quick.
be like 5-on-1, right?
Right, because Jake. Yeah.
And Jake's super paranoid about these things, so he
He's got his own little batch of goodies.
And we got Steven, the shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter.
Could I
And we-
still have walked back kind of hidden?
Also got
Oh yeah.
Timmy Joe, or Joe, I guess.
Yeah.
We have
So-
Joe. You have Joe left. Timmy is gone.
Yeah, Timmy is definitely down the well though. So.
Maybe you find him. Maybe you don't.
All right.
Shall we stay a little bit longer? Let's see if we do this.
Yep, let's go for it.
Okay. All right. So as he asks you, "Where's Timmy?" and you say he wandered off to change his pen, you go, "What is that?" As what appears to be the forest moving toward you. Not the whole forest, just the section of the forest seems to be moving towards you.
Right. Predator flashbacks here.
Did you survive the alien invasion? Is that what it was?
No,
Okay.
mine was peak oil, but
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Okay. So none of you guys, aside from Jacob, were alien invasion people, right?
Abductees.
Correct? You were seismic. I think
Robot uprising.
robot uprising, right? And then
I got zombies.
zombies. Okay, so yeah, so none of you. So Jake's your experienced warrior of the alien variety. Okay, so you see the thing moving towards you. We're gonna do this initiative real fast. So this is how it works. I get the number from all of you, and I will then figure out who goes first based on that. So we'll start with Jake because I have his stats right in front of me. He's 11, so Jake is 11, 6, 1. Okay, so Mickey, what is Mickey's?
1383.
1383. Okay. Gron. Let me help you out. So on the character sheet, it's right next to the target looking thing, the distances, above the shield. So it's right there. It'll say initiative, and there'll be a number in the individual boxes. The first number is your initiative number, and then the others are when you -5 from that.
So I just see a 5.
Right. So yours is 5.
Okay.
And each so an action or combat round is a round that lasts a number of action phases. In this case, it's going to be 4 action phases because that's how many there are. Each action phase is -5 from that initiative number. So if you still have initiative after the end of that action phase, you get to act in the next one. So in this case, you have 5. So at the end of the first action phase, you've acted, and then with -5, you'll have nothing left, right? So you don't get to act in the second or third action phase, unless you do something like you drink an energy drink. Like if you slam an energy drink, then at the start of the next combat round, you get +5 initiative.
And it goes and it goes and it goes. Red Bull, it gives you wings and a whole bunch of other things.
Red Burn from the board game. Red Burn gives you wings.
Red Bird.
Red Burn. That's
Yeah,
one of the fireman cards.
gives you
Red
wings and a
Burn.
halo. You're dead. It's like,
Okay, so you're 5, right? So Gron is 5. And then Parks.
yeah, Parks is 7 and 2.
7-2. Got it. And then Aaron.
1272.
12-7-2. 12-7-2. Okay, so it looks like it's going to go Mickey. Let's get that another card out. So it's going to go Mickey. Oh, I should look at the aliens to know where he falls. He,
Right
she,
at the-
it falls.
right at my feet. That's
They
where he's gonna go.
fall. Okay, so actually it's going to be alien first. Then
He's gonna have at least three action phases.
and then Mickey. So I'm just getting this down real fast so we can move quickly once we get there. Mickey. 8 should be 3. 13-8-3. Yeah. Then Aaron. 12-7-2. Then Parks. Oh wait, Jake. Then Jake. 11-6-1. Then Parks. 7-2. And finally, Gron. And then the 2 boys will go after him with 3 each. Oh wait, there's not 2 boys. There's one of them's missing. Joe, who has 3. Okay. Cool. All right, so Alien goes first. Let's see, Mickey, you are still hidden because you're still doing a good job of not being seen. So the first one, I guess it's going to boil down to who looks the scariest, because the alien thing came back for the one with the psychic mind to find that there was a big one and another big one. Which one would he attack? I guess I'll do a 50-50 on it. Okay, so tell me, Richard, high or low for you, high or low?
I'll go low.
Okay. Okay, 20, so that's low. All right, Richard, you get attacked. The thing moves towards you in what appears to be a shifting of weird light. When it gets to you, you can make out the outline, and you see that it's a creature, not just the moving forest, which is good to know, right? It's going to come at you with a large blade of kinds. I'm looking at the wrong stat. I was about to roll against Jake's stats, which is not who you're fighting. Okay, so it's going to come at you with a large blade made out of bone. You have the option of responding with either with a defensive action. You can either dodge, parry, or riposte. Did I not finish your character sheet? I totally didn't. Okay, so to be clear, your parry is better than your dodge. On your character sheet, it just has your dodge, but because I forgot to write in the other two. But your parry, which is going to be your better option, is 80, right? Because it's your weapon, it's your blade that you're going to use to parry.
Yeah.
So that's
the riposte is where you attack them after.
Yeah. So what you do is you would sacrifice you sacrifice 3 initiative to counter attack. So you're going to attack at the same time essentially as them. So you're essentially going to like try to attack them in a sort of Bruce Lee style, punch them when they're punching you kind of thing. And then if you do better, then you hit them instead of them hitting you, right?
Okay.
But in a parry, you're just redirecting their attack.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a parry.
Okay.
And I got a 28.
Okay. So that's 2 degrees of success, right? That's a great success for you because you have 80, so it's 80, 40, and 20, right? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so he's attacking you. So he's got to roll, and if he gets 2 or better, he hits you. That's how it goes. Where's his stat on that? This is a blades. Oh, fighting skill. Oh, yeah, he failed. So you totally parried. So you parry his attack. Yeah. So his slash comes in, and you just do some kind of flourish and knock it away. So next is Mickey.
Okay. So a couple questions. I was looking at the combat chart thing that you made.
Yeah, on the back of the character sheet.
Yeah. Oh, it's not. I don't see it on the character sheet, but I have it up.
Oh, yeah, on just from the book.
Yeah. So if I were to take aim, then I can't move after my.
Right. Yeah. So it's an alternative to your movement. Yeah.
But if I attack, then I can move.
Yeah, you can attack and move. You can attack and move. You can move and attack.
Would moving and stealth be an action or just
no?
Part
So
of the
stealth. So stealth is passive at this point.
Okay.
You've put the stealth on, and that's your stealth.
If I were to attack, though, it would break that, right? They would have no.
No, okay. It doesn't break it. In my game, it's still passive. What happens is if they get hit with your attack while you're stealth, they get a chance to make a perception to find you, and then if they see you, then the stealth is broken for them, but not necessarily for others, right? So they know where you are.
So they can attack
you.
If I were to move, is it still passive, or do I have to redo it every time?
No, you'd have to. Once they know where you are, they can see you, and you'd have to redo it.
Right, but if they didn't see me, and if I just moved, I don't have to keep making it every time I move.
Nope. No, you have to make it every time you move.
Okay, and drawing a bow, would that take up my combat action for that action phase?
So to take an item, it doesn't necessarily. You can try to make a palming or / agility roll to pull it in a quick draw style. And that's what the quick draw action is. If you succeed with a great success or better, you draw it, and then you can use it.
Okay. So you said that was what?
So
agility?
it's palming is the skill. And if you don't have palming, then it's agility at disadvantage.
I do have it. Okay. Then I would like to use palming to try and draw my bow and shoot.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So I got a great success on the palming.
Cool. You got it. So now you can shoot. Okay. You can use it.
And that's
So
the
in a
archery
quick
skill.
in a quick movement with your hands and gestures, you're done. Yeah, and then it's archery for your
Okay.
attack.
Ooh, and that is a great success.
Because he doesn't know you're there. It doesn't get the block, so you just do the damage to it. Or it doesn't get to like dodge it because it didn't know you were there.
Okay, so a heavy weapon is 1d6 plus 3, and that's it.
Yep, 1d6 plus 3.
6 damage.
Okay. It critically failed its perception, so it not only does it not know where you are, it thinks you're somewhere else. But it did 6 damage, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alien's life. 6.
Is there such a thing as like sneak attack damage?
So there is, but it's a special ability.
Oh, okay.
It's the silent
I remember
stalker
now,
ability.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't take that.
You took the sneaky ability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Next person is Aaron.
All right, I have no idea if this will work, but what I want to do is reach into my pouch and grab my translucent setting powder that I use for my face. It's cosmetic.
Yep.
Put it in my palm and blow it into its face to accomplish 1, blinding, and 2, covering it so if it does go invisible, we can see it, because the powder, it's a matte finish with a little bit of shimmer. So it'll get picked up by the light. So that's the goal. If I have another action other than all that, I would love to try to get a knife shot in there. And, can you call shots on this? Can you say slit throat?
Yes.
All right.
So there is the
coup de grace or...
There is a called shot. Called shot. In this case, you're talking about, like, if you're slitting a throat, it's called shot vitals. But anytime you make a called shot, whether it's a vitals or leg or hand or whatever, it just puts your attack at disadvantage.
Okay.
And if you stack disadvantage, which you can do, it just makes it increasingly harder for you to succeed at the action. So for the drawing of the powder, unfortunately, I don't think you wouldn't be able to do both. You wouldn't be able to pull the powder and do the blowing thing and then also attack in the same action. Unless the drawing was I've never thought about that. If that was your movement alternative, I guess. I'm going to consider that.
I am like improvised weapon extraordinaire. That is how I play. So expect the unexpected.
So there's like this idea that you could possibly have a bonus non-combat action if you decide to not move, right? Like as a movement alternative. I hadn't considered that, but that's not unreasonable because you can do things like take aim as a movement alternative. So why wouldn't you all be able to quick draw and go and then like try to attack,
exactly, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and try that quick draw thing that I explained to her, and then you can, if you succeed, then you can go and then you can then attack as well.
Okay, so what is quick draw underneath? Is that
so it's palming is the skill.
Palming.
Yeah, it's under the palming skill, which is also the same one you use to like hide things on your person. Same sort of movement of gestures. If you don't have palming, then
I do. I got it. Okay. All right.
Great success.
It is a 45. And palming is a 85, 42, and 21.
So you didn't quite get it. You managed to get the powder, you get your hand in, get the powder, and you blow.
I'm going to use luck.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that.
Awesome. I got a 12.
There you go. So you go with that, just this feeling like you get, you just push it just a little bit, and you get it off. You do what you wanted to do, and then you can attack it, not at disadvantage because you can see it now because you get the powder in its face. Let me see. Let me do a quick little thing here. Yeah, it failed to move out of the way, so I'll go ahead and say that it's blinded, giving it disadvantage to its next attacks.
Fantastic.
I have 1d4 rounds. Seems like a reasonable amount of roll, right?
Sure.
Okay. Now I know how many rounds. Cool. All right.
Okay. And so do I call shot like a coup de grace, or do you?
So it wouldn't be coup de grace because he's fighting, right? He's still alive and fine. You do call shot vitals, right? That's what you're talking about, like an attack on like its neck or its, yeah. what you assume is a vital because of alien. But yeah, we'll say you know what that is. So it's a called shot. You're just going to make your blades attack at disadvantage.
I got a 2, and the other number is a 17.
That sounds like it's still a success.
I don't know what I was rolling against, but 2 and a 17.
Oh, it's blades. So it's going to be. So if you look at the your combat skills, right? There's one called blades. That's your blade skill. In this case, you also, if you look at the weapon itself, in the weapon section directly below that, which is the top. Sorry, it's the top sort of center of your character sheet on the first page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's the actual weapon itself also lists that number just so you can quick reference where it's at.
35, 17, 8.
So in this case, you got, what was it, 12 you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got, that's 2 degrees of success. It's going to roll it. It's dodging at disadvantage because everyone gets to dodge. But it's dodging at disadvantage because it's already done a thing. And it either way, it failed, so it didn't really matter. So you hit it with your blade. Now, called shot vitals gives you a bump up of 2 to your combat your damage code. So your combat blade, I think is let me just pull up your character sheet.
Is it just a regular blade, or is it one like the combat knife?
So it's combat knife.
Yeah, she's got a combat knife. Okay, so your combat knife is normally average damage, but in this case, because you're a called shot vital, it's massive damage. So you're gonna roll 2d6 plus 3.
Uh, 2d6 plus 3. All right, here we go. And that would be 9.
9. Cool. Wow, you guys are doing some decent amount of damage to this guy right off the bat.
There's no way to move away from it, correct? So I'm like right there.
Right, because you use the movement alternative to do the blow.
Okay.
Of the thing in its face.
So yeah, blow it in its face, and then I plunge my knife directly into its jugular, or where I think a jugular would be.
Right.
Based on one of its tentacles.
Right. Based on what you know about the general anatomy of the alien, there is a fairly important vein on this particular part of its body, and you strike right at it and get it.
Okay.
A slightly green colored liquid oozes out onto your blade because it has chlorophyll. Okay. The next person to act is Jake. Jake is going to let loose an arrow because he has friends fighting it at close range. He's going to do so at disadvantage. Jake fails horribly. Yeah, he missed. Yeah, he missed. So this is what he did, by the way. He rolled, his stat is 80. He rolled 82 or 82. So unfortunately he missed.
Okay, so he missed, but it wasn't a critical fail.
It wasn't a critical fail. It's not going to hit any of you guys. The arrow goes flying wild into the woods. Okay. Park, it is your action.
All right. So we got the thing blinded. How close is it?
So it came toward your group because it went after Gron. So it's
right.
Sort of around. It's within short range of you.
Okay.
Or close range. How close were you? How close were you to Gron? That's the question.
Well,
because they were coming toward you. So the question is, were you short or close range to Gron? That's the question.
Well, that actually would have been how close Gron was to me because I was a stationary.
Well, I'm giving you the option to choose how close they got. They were together.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably would have been like within short range of him, I guess. By the time
I accept that.
So yeah. All right. So he takes the round to actually pick up his motorcycle helmet and slap it on his head, and put on the other glove because he took off a glove to bond with Joey there.
Got it. So, okay, so you're going to take your action to get dressed. Got it. Yeah. Gron, it's your action. You are within close range of this thing. It is on top of you.
Gron is going to hack this thing.
Okay. You notice that it is also basically size to size with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my weapon. I see a success of 80 and... Ooh, I rolled a 1.
Oh,
Oh,
nice. Woo,
Gron
put it
got a
over there.
critical
Woo.
success. All right, Gron, I'm gonna go ahead and see if he dodges. I doubt it because he has to get
four more,
more
right?
than a critical success. So he fails. He can't beat that because he has to get more to beat it. Because
Right.
ties go to the attacker in this game. Because I'm brutal like that. Okay, so let me get my little critical table because we're gonna do some criticalness. All right, so you hit it for sure, right? So you nail this guy. And where's my critical table? Did I not put it in this? It should be right here. There it is. Okay, cool. Okay, so you hit it. Go ahead and roll for me a d10.
Okay. And I got a 9.
And you got a 9. Okay, so as your blade comes down, your machete comes down on the creature, you just deftly strike into its face, chopping into its ocular nerve and rendering him permanently blind.
So
Now,
Nice.
you're also going to roll your damage for your weapon. And you're going to add
Take a look.
another... let's see, what is the damage for your weapon? I'm looking at Aaron, not Gron. Gron, you attacked with the katana, right? And it's 1d8
Sorry,
plus...
what's that?
You attacked with the katana? Oh, no, sorry, machete, right?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay, so machete is the same as I. We'll just go ahead and say that it's going to be a machete. You just wanted to transfer one for one, so we'll say it's the same damage. It's 1d8 plus 7 is what you're going to roll, but you're going to roll another d8. So 2d8 plus 7 in this case.
So I got a total of 14.
14, you say? All right, let's see. Where's its life at? Health points. Okay, well, since that's 29, that is enough to kill it. Okay, then. So as your blade comes down and chops into its head, rendering it permanently blind, that is completely unimportant as it falls to the ground with your chop. And it's just lifeless at your feet.
calamari, anybody? Calamari?
As you stand over it, you can sort of peel back and you realize, or you can sort of pull your knife away and realize that this ability to sort of look translucent in the world around it is part of this skin layer that it's got on top of itself. It's wearing a skin on top of its exoskeleton on top of its skin. So it's essentially wearing a thin layer of membranous material on top of another body. Which is
is it still active?
It's dead. Oh, the
No.
membranous material? Yeah, it's just like the skin of like a jellyfish or like a squid. So I mean, it will eventually discolor and dry up.
Dry out.
Yeah. But it is currently
So-
still active, as it were.
It's not like a cloak of invisibility on his body.
No, it will
Skin.
die. It's just
So,
Yeah.
Parks has his morbid curiosity. This would be kind of considered alien technology, right?
yeah.
Which is something he doesn't have a
Yeah.
lot of experience with.
This
But
would be xenotech. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay, so we didn't get to do a second action phase. You guys killed that. That was pretty good. And I was sort of expecting it to die relatively quickly. I only threw one at you. So that's it. So you guys killed the monster. It is now laying dead at your feet. You do... How many... I assume that you guys look around for Timmy. Maybe you don't. I think Jake would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parks feels kind of bad that Timmy wandered off and was. I
Not
just
knowing...
told him to stand right there and.
Not knowing if there are more of these things in the woods, because there could be a whole family of them or a whole group of them, a whole strike team of them. Jake does a cursory look around and finds Timmy up in a tree. He's still alive, but he's somewhat cocooned in a membranous material. You cut him down and free, and you can... His suggestion is to keep moving back toward the compound.
We grabbed the deer.
If you want to go back for it, that's fine. You can go back for it.
Well,
Gron definitely grabbed the deer.
Okay. So someone else will have to carry the injured shapeshifter.
Yeah. Steven, you said you had a brother too, right? So is he out there in the woods somewhere?
Quite possibly, yeah.
I don't know if we want to try to explore and try to get him back or not. It's a suggestion. Now, as for this alien creature that's laying before us, we can. I mean, I do know how to scan things since I am a hunter, and I've been doing this since I was a little girl. I can skin it. I don't know how long it's gonna last for, but it might let us go invisible for a little bit of time. Then again, if its family or friend sees its skin being walked around, I doubt it would be very happy.
Probably not, right? Like, probably not. However, you actually could tear it apart. You can make a survival roll to skin it alive, or not alive, to skin it. Sorry, it's dead. But you could skin it and take some of that away. You'd basically just roll and then roll a percentage, and I'd tell you whether or not how much you feel.
All right, survival. Nine.
Okay, yeah, you totally do. Let me go ahead and roll this for you real fast, because it's got a 25. Okay. Oh yeah, you could take 60% of that skin off of it. It's fine.
Sweet.
Yeah, which is enough. It was a larger, because of the bodysuit and everything, slightly larger. So it's probably the size of an average person, what you managed to take free.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. So you salvage 60% of its translucent skin stuff. It will require xenotech use to use, and it won't last very long, but you might be able to get it back to the compound and into a place where they could try to preserve it and figure it out.
I could see Jake trying to slip over there and like, let me see how this fits.
Okay.
You got in my skin, I get in yours.
You managed to, so you guys eventually get back to the compound with Timmy, with the translucent skin and the deer. You managed to make it safely back.
All right.
And thus ends the adventure called The Hunt. You get back to the home, and you go ahead and tell everybody about what happened. And, there's tales told over a glass of your homemade brew and things like that. So that's the adventure. Thank you guys for playing. We'll end here. We're 20 minutes over, but I appreciate you guys for staying. Thank you very much. You have any last words or questions you want to share?
Do we get any XP?
Yes, you do. You survive the adventure, so you get 100. And you kill the monster, so you get another 100. So 200.
Nice.
Dun, 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 dun,
Right.
dun.
Cool. Any other things you guys want to say?
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, awesome game. Are we going off air to talk, or are we staying
Yep,
on?
I will go ahead and end the recording, and then we can have some more conversing. So, thanks.